The Atlanta Aero Club is a regional chapter of the National Aeronautics Association and is dedicated to providing a forum for matters affecting aviation, both commercial and general, recognizing and awarding those making the greatest contributions to furthering aviation in the Southeast region. We are very pleased to have Mr. Mark Burns, President of Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation, with us today. Mark has been our guest speaker in person before, but is joining us virtually from the Gulfstream Studio G in Savannah. Thank you, Mark, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Hi, Steve. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everybody.
And hello, everybody. We're glad you're here. We have over 300 registered, so we hope you all made it and can enjoy this presentation. Mark, you became Gulfstream's president in 2015. Tell us a little about your background and your journey.
Well, actually, I've been with Gulfstream now for a little bit over 37 years, so it's been a long journey for me, and being president of this great company is both an honor and a privilege. I'll tell you, I started out in a very humble way with Gulfstream many years ago, and I have had the good fortune of working in just about every facet of our company, from engineering to flight tests to completions, the service business for a number of years. I've had the opportunity to run several of our facilities around the world and to travel the world meeting our customers for many years. So it's been an honor. But you know, one of the things I think I remember most about that journey is the people you meet along the way, the incredible men and women of Gulfstream, our supply base, our customers. Just been a phenomenal experience for me, and I always think to the mentors that gave me the opportunity through the years. I can think of them, some of them very fondly today. Just over the last 37 years, Goldie Glenn was the president when I started at Gulfstream my first day. Just an incredible man with great customer focus. Larry Flynn, who I learned a lot from about the business of running a corporation. So just some really good mentors for me through the years. A great experience, and one that I'm proud to be one of many at Gulfstream.
I bet. You know, Gulfstream has been in Georgia since 1967, but the company got its start up in Bethpage, New York, and with Grumman roots. What prompted the decision to move from New York down to the coast of Georgia in Savannah?
You know, as the first flight of the G1 aircraft, so the first in our line of airplanes back in 1958. So that was really the start of Gulfstream to your point, at Bethpage, Long Island. And as time evolved, you know, it was amidst of some Cold War tensions and some global events, and military was building up, and they were looking for, Grumman at the time was looking for a place that they could flight test business jets, fair weather city, not hurricanes notwithstanding, but also just a place with the right work environment, the ability to attract talent to the area. And they looked all up and down the East Coast, particularly in the Southeast, and Savannah turned out to be the selection, and couldn't have been a better selection. We started with 100 employees in 1967. I still, actually, my office is in the first building that we built back in 1967. When I started, there were about 900 employees, so we were a little less than 1,000 people when I started in the early 80s, and to have grown to over 15,000 now is just a tribute and testament to the expertise and hard work of our people. Savannah couldn't have been a better community for us. The state of Georgia, the local government here in Savannah, have been very supportive of our growth through the years, so we're glad to have them as a partner. You know, I can still remember many of the engineers that came down from Grumman and Bethpage had actually worked on the lunar landing module So it was a really exciting time to be here as we were developing new airplanes. I started during the development of the G4 in the early 80s. We were building G2Bs and G3s at the time. So it was a really kind of transformational moment in the history of the company.
Well, that's interesting. The G2 was the first Gulfstream with the jet engines.
Right.
The evolution from the turboprop G1
Right.
was so revolutionary. How is Gulfstream different since 1967 in Savannah? What do you think is the biggest difference between Gulfstream then and Gulfstream now in 2020?
That's a really big question. You know, having been here
You've
for
got
so
some
long,
time.
I've seen a lot of transformation. I had a call with a prospective customer for a G700 the other day, and he said, "Sum up in one word why I should buy a Gulfstream." And my word to him was investment. And you know, I really think since we've moved to Savannah, the spirit of this company has been about innovation and the investment in the future. And while you never want to forget where you came from, you'll always have to continue to look forward. And I think that's been one of the hallmarks of this company. And that change has just been tremendous over the years. The spirit of Gulfstream's never changed for me, and I think for many of our employees, but the evolution of technology, our commitment to precision manufacturing, all that stuff has evolved as the tools that we use have become greater over time. I tell people constantly that the precision with which airplanes are built today is unlike any time in our history. When I started, airplanes were largely hand-built airplanes, but today with the 3D modeling technology that we use in engineering and our ability to use robotics in manufacturing, the precision is really unlike anything that we've done before. I think as our talents evolved and our workforce has become greater skilled using some of those tools, you've seen the quality of what we build improve even beyond the precision of what we do. And then just the overall creativeness of the workforce as a whole has just been phenomenal. When I started, again, you know, we were less than 1,000 people. We were building 2 airplanes, designing one, and you fast forward, you know, almost 40 years, and we're building 5 different models today, developing an all-new top-end product in the G700. So we've never been busier. Never been in a better position than we are today. So a lot has changed, though I don't think the spirit of Gulfstream has changed through those years.
I think of quality and excellence when I think of Gulfstream. And does the heritage of Grumman Aircraft Company had a Beth Page, the famous Grumman Iron Works from World War
Right.
II. I'm a history buff for World War II aircraft, and the Hellcat, the Wildcat, and the F-14, all of these aircraft. Does that heritage carry over into the corporate side and influence the designs of Gulfstream today?
Yeah, I think it really does, and I think it still holds true today. You know, the airplanes that you talked about, I can remember my very first mentor, I considered a mentor in engineering, a gentleman named Jim Sanders, was a designer and a pilot and a member of the Coast Guard for the Mallard back, really one of the early airplanes. And then when I started, the head of our flight test was actually the first person to fly an F-14s. And then several of our engineers, again, had grown up in that culture at Grumman through those early military airplanes, the space program. So all of that did carry forward. And I will tell you, you can really see it even today in the design of our wing. Our wing is one of the signature pieces of our aircraft, clean wing design, simple technology, fuel contained, all contained within the wing. And I think that's a signature of all of our products, including now the G700. But that's a heritage element back from the original Gulfstream days with Grumman.
Well, the Gulfstream wing is one of the most beautiful aircraft wings I've ever seen. I was down at Peachtree Airport the other day looking at the 280, the 650, and the 600, and they're just gorgeous. I mean, pieces of artwork. So what do the priorities look like from an operational perspective for Gulfstream these days when you're dealing with the pandemic? How are you dealing with that?
You know, I actually had a chance to speak to the General Dynamics board yesterday about, you know, how things change, and they certainly have changed a lot in a short period of time. But, you know, in a typical year, we would go into the year with about, you know, 10 to 12 really critical success factors for that year. As a pandemic started to impact us, because we have a global fleet, we actually started to see that affecting our customers in China late last year and early into January. So our business started to be affected much earlier than many U.S. corporations. But by mid-March, we were obviously in the middle of the pandemic. New York had shut down. New York City had locked down. And it became apparent that we needed to narrow our focus. When you're in a crisis, I think the best thing to do is narrow that focus, but be very focused on those few items. So we actually changed our plan for the year in mid-March to focus on employee health and safety. So creating an environment where people felt confident to come to work. We were very fortunate that we were able to stay open the entire time. The last 6 months, we didn't actually have to close any of our business. Now, we did send 5,000 people to work remotely in early March, and we did that in order to ensure that we had physical separation and as few people as required to be in our facility. But that still meant we had about 6,000 people coming into our facility here in Savannah, and then a couple of thousand across other sites around the world coming to work each day to continue to build airplanes, which really came to the second priority, and that was to ensure business continuity. This is people's livelihoods. It is our business to build and sell and service airplanes. So it was important that we continue with that business continuity, but making sure, again, that people that had a high confidence in that work environment. You know, when you think about social distancing in a business and you're trying to run a business, particularly a manufacturing environment, it just doesn't mean distancing from each other. It actually means sequencing work so that you don't have too many people in one area at the same time. So it has definitely impacted how we build and service airplanes each and every day. And then the third priority was really cost containment. Not knowing more than we did at the time. In March, it was a very difficult time because nobody had really a good answer about the pandemic or how to deal with it or what the protocols would be. So at that point in time, we're trying to navigate a little bit blind, but make sure that we're doing the right things to protect our employees. But cost containment became important because you want to make sure that you can continue to operate successfully. So those were our three priorities. There's no doubt the pandemic has impacted us. I think it's changed the way we've looked at certain things about our business. I think it's actually accelerated some things as well, though. I think we've proven to ourselves that we can work remotely very successfully. We can engage customers remotely. So I think while it's not all bad, there's actually been some very positive things we can do. We're still very diligent every day about protecting the environment where our employees work. As community leaders, we're also communicating with our employees to make sure they take that behavior outside of the workplace. People are watching. We're the largest employer in the Savannah area and the largest manufacturer in Georgia. So people count on us for leadership. So we remind all of our employees that carry that leadership even when they leave the facilities where they work.
And all the companies that do business with Gulfstream too rely on you to continue the business,
Right.
because it's a ripple effect right across
Absolutely.
the aviation aerospace industry. And during all of that, as we all were going through this incredible transformation of lifestyle, Gulfstream was able to keep things going and start the G700 flight test was continuing, and that program was progressing that you announced last year at NBAA, and then the G600 EASA certification. So you weren't wasting any time, and meanwhile keeping your employees healthy and safety. It's also bears mentioning that you're the second largest employer in the state of Georgia, and Georgia's the #1 aerospace exporter in the United States. So, or the third largest, excuse me, Amy Hunt.
Right.
But the G700, I think you had mentioned that you had a video today to share with us. Is it okay to show that video of the G700
Yeah.
latest?
Absolutely. It's a very proud moment. Absolutely.
Go ahead and play it.
All right, TM is ready. Nope. Ready. Guys, got yourself a good looking airplane.
Pretty good to me. Seems nice. Feels good.
That was an exciting moment for us, Steve. I think that was my 11th first flight, and there, it's always exciting as an aviation enthusiast to see an airplane fly for the first time. But, for us, when you see one of the ones that you've spent 5 or 6, 7 years dedicating your time to and seeing it actually take flight for the first time, really exciting opportunity for us. So I appreciate you letting everybody see that video.
That was very impressive. The 700, I saw it when we were fortunate enough to tour Gulfstream in December. Thank you so much for hosting us. And do you still get excited after 10 flight test programs you're part of to see the first flight? Does it still get you excited, everybody?
Yeah, I think having seen so many, you do get a little jaded, but the excitement is really in the people that are conducting the program. I've seen a lot of them before, and some of the things that they see that are troublesome or get them excited, I've probably seen before. So I'm maybe a little less excited than some. But I will tell you, just to see their excitement, and the G700 program for us, we've kind of created this NBA-like bubble where the flight test team is segregated away from the rest of the area, the manufacturing area, and they fly just continuously. I think we've done over 700 flight test hours already on the G700. 4 airplanes flying. I think there are actually 3 of them in the air today. We'll fly the 5th airplane here at the end of October, so we're excited about that. That'll be our full complement of airplanes, and I've been communicating regularly with a lot of our G700 customers who are very excited to see that video that you just saw, and we keep them up to date on how we're doing with the program. So still on track. As you mentioned, we announced it in Las Vegas last year in October. We announced we would deliver the airplanes in 2022, so we're still on good track to be able to do that. So we're really excited about the airplane. Airplane's a very mature design. It takes the best of G500, G600, and G650 and rolls them into the best airplane that we've ever built. And as you said, you've seen it. We've shown it to a number of customers around the world now, and exciting times for us. Looking forward to delivering the airplane in 2022.
So the 700 was progressing during this whole pandemic thing, Mark, and
Right.
so as the 700 has progressed, what is new about that aircraft? A little bit more about the active control side sticks that I heard so much about, and
Right.
the touchscreen technology for avionics. And the G700 has a lot of breakthrough technology attached to it. Can you tell us
Right there,
expand on that?
yeah, sure. The technology on the G700 again builds on our investment and innovation on G500 and G600, but also takes advantage of the maturity of the G650. So we've built almost 450 G650s now. It is a very mature design. We just delivered, I think, the 75th G500, 600 fleet airplane. So there's some maturity in that. We've taken the best of those airplanes. Active control side stick is really a game changer for safety of airplanes. We had the chance maybe a decade ago to go to a passive control side stick, but we just didn't feel like that was the safety breakthrough that we were looking for. So for the past decade, in conjunction with our supply base, we've been working on electronically linked side stick controls that we introduced on G500, 600. They will be also on G700, but we believe it increases the level of safety and communication within the cockpit, so both crew members know exactly what is going on in the cockpit. In my early career, one of my first jobs was accident investigation, and crew resource management and crew dialogue always came up in accident investigations. So it became important to us evolving the product that we look for ways to ensure good coordination by crew members. And this was one of those real breakthrough moments. It's the first commercial aviation airplane to have this technology, and we believe it's really a differentiator for us. Also in the cockpit, as you said, all the screens are touch screens, again, to make it easier for the pilots to manage their resources. It also is intuitive, so it puts information in front of you that you need at that moment, really trying to make sure there's an intuitive phase of flight information dialogue between the airplane and the crew. And then we also have, I think, one of the unique technologies in 500, 600, and 700 is the data concentration network. It actually wirelessly aggregates all the computer information into the airplane into a single source, multi-channel single sources that actually give you a better look at how the airplane is performing at that moment. So it's really another critical safety factor in our airplanes. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud of the evolution of this company is, you know, again, when I started many years ago, we would build one airplane at a time. But we've evolved to the point now where we're not only building airplanes, but we're building technology that makes airplanes safer. So it is something that we take particular focus on every day.
Well, that's amazing. I saw the side stick in action, and it's passive communication. One of your pilots told me that when the pilot is moving it, the co-pilot feels it too, so he knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And that Airbus incident, I think they had two independently moving side sticks, and that's why they got into that trouble.
Yeah.
having visited Gulfstream, I've been lucky enough to tour your unique research and development campus. You shared a movie with us back then. Can you show it to our attendees today? Do
Sure.
we have that here?
So, I think one of the things that I talked about was our innovative nature and our investment in technology. And if you walk over to our R&D center today, and it's one of the places that I love to take customers, because we not only have aircraft simulations that you see and interior mock-ups where we can test cabin components, but also actual simulators where pilots can fly the airplane. In fact, on G500, 600, we flew almost 40,000 flight hours on simulators before we ever lifted off for the first time. And our pilots would tell you it was kind of anticlimactic to actually fly the airplane for the first time based on all the training that they had done. And you can kind of see the different simulations we have. So we have something called Iron Bird, which actually simulates all the mechanical devices. We have an integrated test facility that integrates all the computer workings of the airplane. And then we have things like what we call the cave, where you can go in and do a virtual 3D walk around of the cabin and move things around. So just a great environment, not only for innovation, but for learning for our people. I think that's one of the real true testaments to our R&D campus, where we have several thousand people that they really treat it as a learning environment.
When you said the Iron Bird, Mark, does that simulate thousands of aircraft cycles before it's ever put in the aircraft? So it's really been thoroughly tested under real tough conditions before you ever fly it. Is that right?
So one of the hallmarks of Gulfstream is reliability. And our customers value the flexibility in the airplanes that we build. We don't go just point to point between New York and London. You can literally go to thousands of airports all around the world with even our largest airplane. So that flexibility and reliability is very important. They land at airports where there's not a whole lot of services. So it's important that our airplanes be impeccable when it comes to reliability. So the Iron Bird, to your point, actually exercises all of the mechanical devices on the airplane, thousands of cycles, so that when we deliver the very first airplane, we've ensured the reliability of those components.
And so the research and development facility that you use to develop the 500, 600 and the side stick facilities, that's being used for the 700 as well?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, again, our pilots spent many thousands of hours in simulators, testing the airplane and the checklists and all of the procedures well before we ever lifted off on that first flight that you saw in the video. So yeah, we're still using it today. We still use it again to develop new technologies independent of the 700 as well that may have safety implications for the other airplanes we build as well.
Well, that's amazing technology. Meanwhile, even though you're doing all of these amazing development projects and creating the state-of-the-art equipment and avionics, you've also got an in-production Gulfstream family that's continuing with the 650. And you mentioned you're working on the 450th of those.
Yeah.
And that aircraft won the Collier Trophy in 2020.
Right.
And it only came out in 2012. So you have been very busy with the 650 production. What else is going on with the 650 and 650 ER? How's that evolving while you're doing
I still remember the Collier Trophy presentation that we did. I had the honor of being there that day and presenting the 650 to the committee. So it was exciting to receive the Collier Trophy, but it really was a testament to our people and the investment that our company made in this extraordinary product. It was another game-changing moment for us. As you said, we announced it in 2008. We delivered the first one in 2012. And over not quite a decade, We've built almost 500 airplanes. The airplane has continued to evolve over time. We've added a lot of connectivity to the airplane for our passengers, so Ka-band, high-speed internet capabilities. Easier said than done at 600 miles an hour, but definitely been focused on the cabin, making sure we have the right environment for our customers. We've had some evolutions in things like synthetic vision for landing at minimums. We've developed runway overrun protection that actually looks at the energy the airplane's creating and verifies exactly where you'll stop on the runway, prevents runway overruns, which has become a fairly large portion of the accidents that we've seen in the last decade. So important technology. Even though we built 500, we continue to look for ways to improve the safety of the airplane and future generations of the airplane. You mentioned ER. When we announced the G650 originally, we said that the range would be 7,000 miles. We actually delivered a 7,500-mile airplane, and it became the Gulfstream ER. So just a fabulous performing airplane, a testament again to the construction and design of our wing. Also our engine manufacturers as well. Rolls-Royce and Pratt & Whitney have been key to our success through the years, and we continue to work with both of them today in our manufacturing. We've made some really key changes on G650. I know most people won't remember, but when we started this process back in 2006, 2007, right before the announcement, we worked with the state of Georgia for training credits and some things that we were doing with our workforce to get them ready for a robotic environment because it was changing. It was changing from, again, hand-built airplane to a robotically built high precision airplane. And that really started on the G650. We built a number of the components on the airplane using robotics on the 650. It's evolved to even a greater volume on 500 and 600, and even more as we go to the G700. And I think a testament again to the training that we've done, the expertise of our employees, and the tools we use today is we can virtually build a wing, not virtually, we can build a wing today almost with no squawks or zero defects. An entire wing that used to, in G5 days back in the 90s, have several thousand that we would have to correct as we were manufacturing. So the precision with which we've been able to invest in manufacturing really started with the 650, but it transfers into the later model airplanes that we're building today.
And the next generation aircraft, it's hard to pivot from the 650. The 650 is a magnificent aircraft, and who wouldn't want one? But
right.
Even as we say that, what's coming with the next generation, the G500 and the 600, which, by the way, was nominated for the Collier Trophy this year as well. And congratulations on that nomination. Can you tell us a little bit, is this a new design or is this evolution?
Yeah, the G500 and 600 are totally new airplanes. They are meant to be the technology leader in aviation as a whole. I believe, and I know I'm biased, but again, doesn't mean I'm not right, but they are the highest technology airplanes built today. Some of those things we talked about already with the active control side sticks and the data concentration and things of that nature. But again, the precision with which they're built, the integrated technology, the phase of flight intuition that the airplane has that helps pilots know exactly what's going on with the airplane. All of those things make the airplane safer and more efficient. On G500 and 600, the engine that was built by Pratt & Whitney along with our team is actually 32% more fuel efficient than the previous generation of engine. So it's significant. Our employees are focused on improving the efficiency of the airplane, making sure we're good stewards of the environment. So all of those things kind of go into the design. And I think if you ask most customers today, they would see 500 and 600 as the technology leader in all of aviation.
The G500 and 600 and 700 all feature the symmetry flight deck. And I looked at it the other day, and it's just amazing. You know, the panel of the G280 I got to see, and the 650
Right.
and the 600. What makes the symmetry system so different from previous ones?
You know, I think we have, number one, I think we have a really good partner in Honeywell. They have been synonymous with our design for years. I can still remember the very first symmetry meeting that we had with the Honeywell team, and we talked about a lot of what you and I have talked about today. How do we make airplanes safer? How do we help crews have reduced workload? How do we put information in their hands that make airplanes safer, help them make better decisions? And for years we worked together to develop this new flight deck, integrating things like we talked about with side stick, but making sure that there was intuitive information available to the flight crew, reduce workload. You can actually, with the current symmetry flight deck, go out and start an airplane like the G600 in less than 10 minutes and be taxiing the airplane. It is that intuitive. It is an incredible design by our team and the Honeywell team. If for those looking in today, if you haven't seen it, if you go to the Gulfstream website, there's a really great series of videos on developing that symmetry flight deck. And it shows the early days of developing that flight deck, and then also the final iteration of what we're designing and building today. So it really interesting, and I believe, again, game-changing moment for safety of Gulfstream airplanes.
Well, it's very impressive to look at. You recently announced you've sold the last commercially available Gulfstream G550. That's quite an accomplishment, of course, and quite an airplane. Tell us more about the G550, if you would.
So definitely a bittersweet moment, particularly having been here throughout the life of the G550 to do that. But again, you know, everything kind of has its moment in time, and the G550 probably prior to the 650, our most successful airplane. We've built over almost 700 of those airplanes. So the airplane has been a true Gulfstream through the years. Very reliable, high performance, really the first large cabin, ultra long range airplane in the market. Today we continue to build that airplane for special missions. So for governments and military around the world, we build it in a special configuration for maritime surveillance or battlefield communications and things of that nature. But we have come to the end of the commercial line. Very successful product for us. Excited that we'll continue to support that airplane for many years to come. As you know, our service network is very broad around the world, and very focused on making sure those 550 customers continue to be successful.
Well, it's a beautiful aircraft, and it's a movie star. I can't tell you how many movies, and Hollywood would be lost without Gulfstream. They use your aircraft in so many visuals. You also have a super mid-sized product, and it's the G280. And what makes it the best in-class aircraft? I think it's the perfect sized aircraft for me.
It's our entrant into the mid-sized cabin market. I will tell you, I still remember vividly the very first day that when we bought Galaxy. You may remember Galaxy. It was June of 2001, and we had just purchased Galaxy, and I actually moved to Dallas and worked there for a couple of years. And we were building the G200 at the time, and there were our engineers started working on what we believed to be modifications to make that airplane even better. We redesigned the wing. We looked at some additional weight savings on the airplane, and it evolved into the G280 that we build today. And the G280, just a phenomenal performer, as you talked about, great cabin, up to a 10-passenger aircraft, 3,600 nautical miles each and every day of the week. Wow. Just an incredible performing airplane. Does some really neat approaches into places like a London City airport for a steep approach. So great performing airplane. We build that in conjunction with our partner IAI. They've been an incredible partner throughout this whole experience of building midsize cabin airplanes. We complete those airplanes at our facility in Dallas, very talented completion workforce in Dallas, and an airplane that we're proud to continue to sell today.
Seems like it's evolving as a beautiful airplane. There's been a lot of publicity recently regarding the customer support investments Gulfstream's making. Can you share some of those highlights with us on that?
Yeah, I'll take you back almost to my my first week at Gulfstream, and I had the chance again to meet our president at the time. And you know, he told me, and the very first time I met him, just never forget that selling the airplane is not the end of the transaction. It's really how you support and stand behind the airplane over the life of that airplane. And so I kept that with me for the longest time. And, you know, we've been fortunate again to be able to invest all around the world in service. We have service facilities in Singapore, in China, all over Europe. But recently we've continued to even double down on that commitment to our customers and the service of their airplanes. So I'm probably gonna miss a facility, Steve, because we built a great deal of service capacity over the last few years. But we built a new facility here in Savannah. It's about 200,000 square feet. We hired several hundred new employees. I will tell you, it was full almost day one. If you come to Savannah, it's the largest campus we have, and we work almost 80 to 100 service airplanes every day. So our workforce here is just incredible. We built a new hangar, about 200,000 square feet in Appleton, Wisconsin as well. We built two other facilities, one in Van Nuys, California, and one in West Palm Beach just recently, and we're staffing those up now, and both facilities are going really well for us. And then we probably built what I would consider to be the finest aviation service center in the world recently at Farnborough in the UK. It's a little over 200,000 square feet. I think it's about 225,000 square feet, but it is a phenomenal purpose-built service center for Gulfstream airplanes. And as I looked just after a couple of weeks being open, the hangars were already full. So we're getting customers from the Middle East and Eastern Europe and Africa transiting through the UK and coming for heavy maintenance. So it's a great investment for us. Again, I believe wholeheartedly that the customer relationship's the most valuable one that we have as Gulfstream employees, and we need to nurture that, stand behind the airplane. So not only service centers, but parts and AOG support. So we actually have multiple airplanes that we use to deliver parts around the world. And we also have a new parts depot in Amsterdam. So we continue to spread out around the world. I think it's great for us. It's a point of pride being a U.S. company to have achieved this much and to be significantly committed to growing our airplanes around the world. We've got we export about $4 billion of airplanes and parts every year. So we're good for the exports of the United States. And that's not it. So with all that going on, we still have a commitment to grow even in the midst of the pandemic and the associated turmoil created by it. We're looking to start up a new facility outside of Fort Worth at Alliance Airport. We announced that just a few months ago, and we'll be building an all-new purpose-built service facility there to work on this next generation of airplane. It really has been an effort on our part to modernize our service network to deal with the complexities and the things that we've been able to develop for these new generation of airplanes.
It seems like Gulfstream has a commitment to customer service and to being there for their customers when they need them. Did you have a facility in Atlanta announced recently too, or?
So we are looking at several places. Atlanta is one of the places that we're looking at. You know, there are several key cities around the United States where it's maybe not a heavy maintenance site for us, but there's a lot of transient activity where customers are flying in to a city, and some that come to mind are Atlanta, Georgia, and Chicago, Miami, places like that, Houston, where there's just a lot of aircraft activity. So we continue to look at our options in places like that, and certainly Atlanta would be on our radar to do that.
We'd love to have you. And, you know, it's exciting news for customers, everything you're doing. And with all the evolution of technology, how are you able to train and develop the workforce at Gulfstream to grow with the products and for these new next generation aircraft?
So that's probably been one of the things that has challenged us most through the years is getting our workforce prepared to transition from an older generation airplane to the newer generation airplanes. And as you can see, I think there's a video running that everybody can see. We actually developed a Gulfstream University. So it's a training center where all of our new employees and our existing employees can go and train on not just the new technology, but older technology. They get the opportunity to work hands-on in an environment where there are real airplanes. So you can see from the video, there are real airplanes that they get to work on. And these are airplanes that we used for testing or fatigue testing or something of that nature. But they can actually go in and remove pieces of the wing or drill out a fuselage panel or change a gear on an airplane and actually have that actual hands-on experience and not just the classroom environment that traditionally has been how aviation is trained. And it really looks at the total airplane, not just the airframe, but the cabin components as well. We've trained thousands of people there as we've increased our production rate for 650 and 500 and 600. We've actually taught new technology on things like composite skins and things of that nature to help employees be ready to do their work. So I feel like that with the support of the state of Georgia, the local economic development authority, the local governments here in Savannah and Brunswick, we've really been able to step up our game as a training provider to our employees over the last, 5-6 years. If you think about, but when we announced the G650, we were about 4,000 or 5,000 employees. And so in order to ramp up the G650, we had to hire several thousand people. So it became incumbent upon us to begin to focus on employee training and new hire training. And we've been fortunate that we've had the resources to do that. We've had the support of many universities and technical colleges around the state to be able to get prepared to do that. But it again is one of those things that you have to be proud of, to have created a workforce of over 15,000 with the skill level that we have is just extraordinary.
Fantastic, Mark. Let's turn to sustainability. You recently announced that Gulfstream extended its contract with World Energy for a consistent supply of sustainable aviation fuel. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it really goes back to our commitment to the environment, being good stewards, being a good manufacturer that thinks of beyond today and well into the future. So our commitment to sustainability probably started back at the beginning of the G650 as well. G650 is a more efficient airplane than the ones we've built before. And we've had a commitment in design to helping build more fuel efficient airframes, more fuel efficient engines. And along with that comes a commitment to sustainable fuels. We started this back in our effort with sustainable fuels back in 2016. We fly it on our flight test airplanes. We fly sustainable fuel on our corporate airplanes, on our parts airplanes. I think we've flown over 1 million nautical miles now using sustainable fuels. I've had the good fortune of being able to attend a lot of events around the world where the environment is top of mind. I go to Davos every year, and I'm fortunate currently to be the head of the Aerospace governors meeting at the World Economic Forum. And one of our major focus of that governor's meeting is how do we continue to evolve our sustainability efforts. And so I know that we have to be a leader of sustainability. We do that through our design, but we also do that through sustainable fuels. We've actually started to offer it to customers through our service center network where we sell sustainable fuel. So it's why we extended our agreement with World Fuel, World Energy to make sure that we had those the fuels available. It is a little more expensive than regular jet fuel today. I believe it's obviously a supply and demand. As we make it more available, I see more customers demanding sustainable fuel. So I do think that it will become the norm over a period of time. We are using it in our flight tests for G700, as I said, as well. So it is a safe fuel. It's a drop-in fuel. There are no changes to the airplane or the engine of the airframe. And we are looking at, today it's about a 70-30 blend of jet fuel versus sustainable fuel combined. We're looking at increasing that mix to more of the sustainable component. But it is something I believe that as a good steward of the environment, as we should be as a manufacturer, that we have to do these things to innovate and be a leader in this industry.
That's a great initiative, Mark. What else is the company doing for future generations?
So, having grown up at Gulfstream, so I had hair, and I was probably about early 20s. I tell you, I think we have a tremendous commitment to the future generation of our workforce, people coming in to aviation. I've had, again, the good fortune of being the chairman for the General Aviation Manufacturers Association. It is a commitment of our industry to be able to offer career path opportunities through apprenticeships for high school students, internships for college students. As I said earlier, we work with about 30 colleges and universities and technical schools around the United States to offer opportunities. I think, pre-COVID, we would typically have 200 or 300 interns in our work environment in engineering and manufacturing on a day-to-day basis throughout the year. We've had to obviously cut back a little bit during the pandemic to try to ensure personal safeties. But I do think that our commitment to the next generation is something that we've proven. I believe it's good business. I believe it's the right thing to do for our industry. I usually tell people when I speak at any conference toward the end of my remarks is always advocate for aviation. It is a great career. It is a great learning experience, and it's a lot of fun. So advocating for this industry really is an easy thing to do.
Well, we all love aviation. And do you have similar partnerships on the college level as well?
So we do. You know, we work closely with a lot of universities, particularly here in Georgia. So Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern. I think we've even developed a newer relationship with the University of Georgia. We do a lot of things with the Savannah Technical College. We do a lot of things with the HBCUs around the South, particularly trying to attract diverse talent. So it is something we're very mindful of, to make sure, again, that we're giving opportunities to college to intern with us. I will tell you, one of the things that you also have to be very proud of is that typically if someone interns with us and we offer them a role, it's almost 100% take. So I'm very, very proud of that they come here as an intern, they get to do meaningful work, they feel the culture of Gulfstream, and then they feel compelled to come back when they graduate.
Well, I know Middle Georgia State University has a great aviation program not too far from you. And Aiden Clark, who's the Dean of Aviation up there, won our EPS Award in 2020. We're very proud.
I knew I would miss somebody. I knew
No,
I would miss
no,
somebody.
you didn't miss him. He's a great guy. And, I know they appreciate everything.
I can remember speaking with him previously as we were talking about some of these apprenticeship opportunities. So congratulations to him.
Oh, he's a great gentleman. How else is Gulfstream involved in the community? I know you're a great supporter of the Atlanta Aero Club, and we thank you very much for that.
Yeah, there's so many communities where we operate now. Obviously, our largest is here in Savannah. Couldn't be prouder of our employee base. Not just the money that they donate to local charities. So we, together with our employees, donated $2 million to the local United Way. But the hundreds of hours that we donate and through volunteerism, I know I've been to several over the last few years where we've built playgrounds or cleaned up the beach or helped police around an area of a new running track that is available in this community. But dollars is one thing, but the commitment of your employees to give back to the community is very important, and that happens at all of our sites. I think that I see food drives in Dallas and code events for the homeless in California, a commitment to schools in our UK facilities. So it really permeates the whole culture of Gulfstream to be able to give back to the communities where we work. In Savannah, we're a large part of this community, so we're involved in any number of different cultural events around the community as well. But important, again, to be good stewards of what you've been given. So to be able to give back to the community is really a privilege for all of our employees. I think the second thing I would talk about is, again, advocating for aviation. Being able to go out and to speak with community groups or colleges about the jobs that we provide and the growth opportunities that we provide. I'm a good example of that. I started in a very modest home and had a very interesting start as a draftsman here at Gulfstream, and have been given the opportunity through the years to grow with this company. And I see that same opportunity for a young person joining us today. This is really an environment of learning that gives you the opportunity to do as much as you care to do.
It's the American dream. You worked your way up through the ranks to this position. You earned it. And Mark, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this hour went by in about 2 seconds, but I think it did. And it's always an honor to talk with you and to partner with you. is there anything the Atlanta Aero Club can do to assist our friends at Gulfstream, at Savannah, or any other location?
Yeah, I think you're doing what you need to do, Steve. I think what I talked about is probably what many of you talk about every day, and that's advocating. You know, this is a pivotal moment in the history of our country, if not the world, and how we deal with this, and the professionalism of dealing with the pandemic and continuing to operate the business of aviation, I think is very important. As you said, it's important for us to operate not only for our employees, but all the thousands of suppliers we have around the world. This is our moment in time to really show how business aviation and aviation in general differentiate the world. And I'm fond of saying that there are two things that created global commerce. One is aviation, and the other is the internet. But the internet will never replace what we do. There's still that need for aviation, and the ability to show that difference right now, I think, is a pivotal moment. So I really appreciate everybody taking the time to be here today. And Steve, thanks to you and the Aero Club for all you do.
It's an honor.
And we always look forward to supporting you.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to point out that we had some great help from the Gulfstream staff putting this on, and the G studios at Gulfstream, which are incredible and impressive. And we had the luxury of working with Heidi Fedak, who is your director of communications. And
Right.
everybody wants, believe me, I think everybody should have a director of communications like Heidi. She's fabulous. And Cortina Holland.
I know you can't see him, Steve, but there's about a half a dozen people in the room, including Heidi, and she is giving you the thumbs up for
that's
saying
good.
everybody should have.
Well, she was very patient and helpful with me. As you know, we've hosted over 100 luncheons in close proximity, and you've been to several of those, and it's a little different procedure, and she was very kind with her time and generous, as Amy and Matt and all of your folks were. I have to give a big shout out to EY's Communications, Joanna Sanders and her team, Justin and Marjorie. They worked hand in hand with your folks, and they've done a great job. And also, I want to thank AvBuyer for co-sponsoring this. And I can tell you, working with AvBuyer, the people around the world, the aviation community, all is pulling together to get through this. And every company, every location that's touched by Gulfstream is better off for it, in my estimation. And so, do you have any last words you'd like to wrap up with?
No, I'll just say thank you to everybody that took the opportunity to join us. It was a pleasure being with you today, and I thank the team here as well and the folks on your end for making it happen. I look forward to seeing everybody in person, and hopefully we can do a luncheon live instead of virtually here soon.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care. Thanks, Steve.
That sounds great. Thank you all for being here, and we'll let you know when our next event is.